having lunch with my friend Francoise. We're sitting in front of a mouth-watering plate of roast chicken and potatoes. She asked me about my day. So glad to complain to her. I just got a $295 speeding ticket. My boss took all the credit for my work, and last night I fell into the toilet because my boyfriend left the seat up again. In the middle of complaining, she cuts me off. Listen to you, drama queen. Side note about Francoise. She's that friend, painfully honest, but sometimes a pain in my contest chair. Fellow Toastmasters. And anyone with a friend like Francoise. She said, Sylvia, you don't have big problems. Put it in perspective. Do you know what happened to my mother during the genocide in Rwanda? No, as I piled on another spoonful of potatoes. You know that 800,000 people lost their lives in just 100 days. At the height of all the killing, I was helplessly searching the streets for my mother. She had been missing for 37 hours. I turned up a dirt road, heading back home. In the distance, people. A pile of people. My eyes locked in on a very familiar pink sweater. It was my mother, lying there on top of everyone else. I ran to her praying that she was still alive, but she wasn't moving. I felt a faint pulse, but my mother had holes in her face and blood everywhere. Two men came to my rescue. They pulled my mother off the pile of bodies and carried her 2.5 miles to the nearest hospital. 4 hours later, the doctor came out, wiping beads of sweat from his face. He told me that my mother lost a lot of blood. The bullet shattered her eardrum, crushed her cheekbone, destroyed her eye. Francoise, please tell me she survived. Yes, she did. And then the doctor told me that there were no more beds available in the hospital. So they had to move my mother into a room shared by a former army general. As Francoise continued, I had stopped eating, feeling embarrassed. Speeding ticket? Complaining about my boss and boyfriend? Francoise continued. I rushed back to the hospital the next morning, and when I arrived, all the chaotic hospital chatter in the day before was replaced with silence. A policeman told me that in the middle of the night, rebels invaded the hospital. With machetes, they killed everyone. All the doctors, the nurses, the patients, everyone. Except for the 3 people fortunate enough to have been in the high security room shared by the former army general. I looked at Francoise. Your mother must be bitter. You would think so, Sylvia, but no, she isn't. So my next question to her, well, how does she do it? Because I feel like I would be bitter and unforgiving for a long time. Wow. After lunch, she invited me to her house. My mother is upstairs in the bedroom. Why don't you go and talk to her? I walk into the room. Smells like clean linens. She's making a bed fresh. She turns around, scar all on her face. I said, Miss Veronique, Francoise just told me everything that happened to you. I am so sorry. But how are you not angry and bitter at the man who shot you? As she fluffs up the pillows with a lifted smile. Sylvia, my face may be broken, my spirit is not. Then she motions me in close. Remember this always. You must never allow someone who adds nothing to your life to control so much of it. Put it in perspective, my dear. That's what I always tell Francoise. Now, Sylvia, show me a smile and help me make this bed. So there I had been earlier at lunch, complaining about my problems. And yet Miss Veronique is teaching a profound lesson.